It's been a long time, hot minute. Um, First I want to start off with this channel is not something that I was like, really trying to make something that I upload a lot on. And I knew, I dip out for months. I don't check back for like, I only check this channel out like probably once every like couple months to respond to comments that I think that have really pressing questions. I was trying to catch up a little bit on some of the comments that I saw, and I think I'll go over some here. Um, I should also say that this is a learning experience. The path I've been on, I've just been like constantly learning all the time. So if I don't have anything to say, it's because I'm in a time of gathering my thoughts, gathering information, and then seeing where that all settles in my mind. Most of what I had to get off of my chest, years ago when I started this channel, were things that I already had like a pretty good grasp. I thought I had a pretty great grasp on, but I rewatched some of those older videos that I had, and some of them weren't really offering the best solutions to the problems that I were bringing light to. And there were some really good comments that were telling me exactly that. So today I'm going to look at some of those comments. Let's see here. So he's saying, yeah, they say the Earth construct is a 12D affair with its own false heavens, etc. I should probably blow this up larger. And to escape, we must exit all levels of the Earth construct along the Trans-Universal Highway. What the fuck? Into the exterior dark void and way beyond. To achieve this, we must we must know our true self, our true spiritual self. Hold no fear, and while upon Earth have gained the understanding that it is all a game, and therefore there is no sin, which via a negative life review, which can okay, I know where he's coming from with this. I mean, I don't disagree. I don't think that all the spark words are necessary in the 12D and shit. Plus, nobody's keeping track of how many dimensions there are. I don't think anybody can really tell for sure unless, maybe we can rely on some of the work of those people who use psychedelics to routinely enter into those realms. I know Chris and Cherie Geo from Beyond the Veil, that channel, they say that we have 12 realms or 12 dimensions, and on the highest dimension is like a control room. They say they've been there. They've said they've talked to entities there that told them, hey, you can't be here, get out. But that's not something that I have any experience with. I'm just going off the backs of what they say. I mean, I do rely on them for a lot of confirmation on the things that I've discovered on this path. I should probably show their channel while I'm talking about it. Chris and Cherie Geo from Beyond the Veil. Here we are. It's a copycat. We don't need copycat channels. It's an AI channel too. This is the channel I'm talking about. I've been subscribed to them for like probably 4 years, 5 years now. Really good people. I've agreed with them on most things, and everything else I was just kind of like absorbing the information. But yeah, most of the shit that happens in the world, or in the US rather, it's all deep state. It's all propaganda. I would really go back to their old live streams and just look at those. They have some nice stuff. Okay, so onto these comments. Do you think we'll be able to truly be with our loved ones ever again and this thing eventually be taken down? I don't know, because I haven't seen this place be taken down, but I do have an idea, based on um based on like different data points that I've gathered in my life. I do think that the more events of antiquity come in a faster frequency, there will be a sort of breakdown on the world logos, and that will also have an effect on what we deem to be normal. So we will start saying things like, oh no, did you see what happened yesterday? Or did you see that video? The Matrix is breaking. It's breaking down, guys. We're in the Matrix. And those glitches that people expect to happen and all that, I believe that could definitely happen. It's happened on small scales already. But about being with your loved ones, I can never predict that. I don't even know what to say to this person. That's all I can say for them. Yo, buddy, you onto some truth shit here. Gonna tear through your channel post haste. I believe in the reptile stuff, but don't fear it. Yeah, I still don't believe in reptilians. Still believe something is feeding on our fear. Yes, but there's multiple entities that could be feeding off of our fear. I believe that there are entities that have fallen into different like subsets of species, but for the most part, they're not much different from what makes up the rest of our souls, because it's still drawing on that same material, you know? At least that's where my knowledge has brought me so far. All right. But don't dawn on it or fear it. Fear, fear, fear. This is the demon food subbed up. Yeah, fear. That's what they feed on. Definitely your fear. You need to get rid of that irrational fear of the entities, because if you can be shocked at night, if you can be brought out of your comfort zone at night by the idea of some entity watching you, then you've already lost like half the battle. Actually, I would even say like 80% of the battle is already lost. Right. This is their house. We are only guests, but they encourage us to stay for as long as possible. Yes, that's what they want. With this place, with this realm, and the realms that are stacked on top of this realm that act as like a cascading tower, or like a trapped bubble. This does operate off of law of conservation. There are errors, and when there are errors, it does try to correct these errors when people notice them en masse, in order to keep the integrity of the system, in order to keep the world logos together. Only one way out. Ascension? Ascension. What is ascension? That's multi-layered. I don't know what he means by ascension, because his ascension might be different from my ascension. My ascension is just going inward and continuing to cultivate your soul so that you maintain your awareness when you leave your body. And then having that, that backbone to say no. And not be persuaded by entity. Like if you can basically be persuaded to do shit that you don't want to do when you're sleeping, and you're having these experiences, or you lucid, like here, lucid dreaming, astral projection. If you're saying no to things that you normally wouldn't do when you're lucid dreaming or astral projecting, and you think back on it when you wake up and you're like, damn, that's not in character for me, I can't believe I did that. You are basically having no consciousness in that part of your soul that was journeying. That lack of heightened consciousness is also the same thing that disallows you from remembering your experiences when you wake up. The more awareness that you carry with your soul as it travels, when you're dreaming and astral projecting or having an out-of-body projection, the more you remember and the more power you have over your choices, your cognition, your dream cognition, or your, I don't know, I really have to like think of some terms to describe what I'm trying to say here, but basically you have to work on that awareness, because you can be aware of what's going on when you're in your body, but when you're not, when your consciousness is no longer operating in your body, or at least the majority of your consciousness is divorced from your body, and you don't have that awareness, that's something that you have to work on. That's like the minimum, just the baseline, so that you can actually say no instead of getting manipulated by entities. Like if somebody asks you to do something and you didn't want to do it, you just say no. But when you're low energy, when you're low consciousness, while your body's asleep, you're more likely to say yes to things because your consciousness is barely even aware of what you're doing. You're just following along for the ride. That's why people say don't get into astral projection, because it opens you up to entities. Well, you wouldn't be opened up to those entities if you said no to them when you first got to them. Or like, there's just such a thing as passive consent. Passive consent. So like an entity will test you, and if you don't have an aversion to what they're doing to you, they'll go a step further and a step further and a step further until you won't even realize until after you've woken up and you remembered what happened to you. All right, I think I've went hard on that already. What does it say? Yes and no. They are downsizing and showing off the tech. Freedom is a foreign concept to a species bred down to a neurotic wreck. My feeling is the only hope lies in the energetic woo-woo, and I am long late to this game with an extra heavy veil blocking my spiritual skills. I've noticed a synchronistic effect lately and realized on a certain level that I am a powerful magician. Whether I can isolate or extend this power is what I am putting on my list of things to do before the aliens come. Will humanity be just desserts? I'm just looking for the exit. I have better problems to overcome than the physical monster hospital we live in. At the least, I'll contract for a gig in the higher realms, where they need more dark humor to convince them to do something more heavy, more for the heavy density undertrodden. I really don't know. When I guess to I don't know, geez, a lot I don't knows. Meet our higher self. It's not about meeting your higher self, it's about cultivating your higher self. And plus, you already kind of have a higher self. It's where you draw your intuition from, but you just have to tap into that and maintain that link. She can't afford to hire an energy worker, worried that I have no intuition about the non-physical. That worry that you have no intuition, you have to get rid of that. You just have to stop worrying and open yourself up. So to open your third eye, people who have opened it, they had to start by getting rid of their preconceived notions and just sensing. Stop thinking and just sensing. That's all you have to do to get all the dominoes to fall. That's all you got to do. Just stop thinking and sense. That's how you open your third eye. And then there's also like, just because you do that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to start seeing energy and entities and whatnot, but it will heighten your awareness of certain things and certain thought forms in your area. and things that cross your aura. This was very enlightening in certain ways I have not considered. This is a wild ride that I need to party with a laugh. And to raise my vibration as the phoenix from the ashes of my cremation when it's time. Right. You probably translated that into English from something else. I don't know. New Age is just a revival of the occult and some paganism concepts. Instead of witchcraft, it's now called psychism. Unfortunately, most people are either charlatans or insane. Yes. Especially the ones that have gotten like heavy into psychedelics and they've got like some ability, but they can't actually use it. Like some form of clairvoyance or clairsentience or something. It's had many different names over many different years, but sometimes there's that 1 in a billion individuals who actually can do it. They're out there, you'll just probably never meet one. True. Plus they keep that shit to themselves. It's not something that they show off. They want to maintain a form of secular life or lifestyle, so they just don't show off to people. They're usually introverts. Okay, I just thought of something. What if the plan with space is for it to get everyone to believe in what NASA shows, and eventually Earth's NASA? A lot of the headlines that NASA comes out with, and a lot of the things that they name these meteors and these comets and asteroids or whatever, they're taking names from mythological entities. So that should tell you more than enough on what you need to know about NASA. You don't know what they're doing on the inside, but from what they show you on the outside, it's a whole lot of fairy tale. Plus, it's most likely, you know, like Jason of Archaics, which is another channel that I follow. Wait, what was I saying again? Where's my place? Oh, he says that NASA is just a tax. That's what I was gonna say. He says NASA is just a tax. When you say soul, that's separate from spirit or source, correct? Yes, your soul is separate from your spirit. Your soul is more like a tool that your spirit can run through, or like sense through. But that part of you that stays with you despite whatever vehicle you're using, that's considered to be a portion of your spirit, or at least the spirit that is beaming into this realm. I don't think the spirit cares about where it is. All you need to know is that it doesn't have a location inside of this realm. That's the most that you need to know about where the spirit is. The spirit is nowhere and everywhere. Yours, at least. You can't really trace where its location is because it's not running off of that framework. It's divorced from the framework and it exists before the framework of this realm, and then the other cascading realms have existed. It's existed before all this. The spirit is paramount to the soul and the body. And yeah, I don't like the idea of going into source and being something else. But then again, when this body... You see, I was reading like this Xianxia novel. The novel was called Legend of the Great Sage. And one of the... Before the author stopped writing chapters, one of the things that the main character was going through was he was questioning merging himself with the Great Tao. The Tao is like the way in Taoism. It's the invisible force that moves all things in the universe, and where Qi comes from. In this case, you can kind of compare it to Source from where we're coming from, right? The Tao is basically Source. But in this case, the main character was saying that he didn't want to rejoin the Tao because he didn't like the idea of losing his individuality. So he had to think about what he wanted to. I should really read where he talks about that, because it was some really interesting stuff. Sometimes these Chinese cultivation novels, they really come up with like some interesting questions, and then some even more interesting solutions to deal with these philosophical questions that Taoism has brought about through its like canon over the past 2,000 years. So this person does not like the idea of going to Source. Me neither. When this body goes, I'll be something else, as I won't be tethered and limited. But when you say other realms, isn't that the demiurge as well? Yes. Anything inside of this trapped bubble, that includes all the realms. All these realms are manifestations of its mind. Or at least, if it wasn't a manifestation of its mind, it became polluted by its mind. And that's just the way it is. Like, where would I even go other than suppose it's Source, place, city, whatever, that's away from demiurge. So, you know, the whole, you know, Cthulhu type mythos, the sleeping god that doesn't really act except for every once in a while, right? Or when it opens its eyes, everything like disappears. We're all in a big dream, whatever. There is some truth to the Cthulhu mythos, but for the most part, all you need to know is that this realm, this whatever we're in, it's not entirely under its control. Otherwise, it would not need to use avatars in order to get its plans to go into action. It wouldn't need to give orders. It's not all powerful. It's powerful because the cult of this god has persisted over like thousands of years. It's powerful to that degree, but it's not all powerful because it still has to operate through time and through avatars that it uses. So where would you go? I would worry about less where you go and more about cultivating your soul so it can better house your spirit, so that whatever part of your consciousness is trapped in here, or we believe to be trapped in here, it has an easy bridge out. Because your soul has been so well refined and it has exited the cycle of reincarnation that you can just continue to build off of what you already have instead of having it washed when you go through that washing machine and losing all your memories again. Because imagine you leave your body, right? But instead of going to the reincarnation cycle, you simply just enter another newborn's body with all the knowledge that you still have. Or you go to the astral realm, and on the crossing back into this realm, you have like enough weight or enough charge to be able to break the law, I guess you could say. Because there is a sort of like law to be allowed to be born here, right? Because if your soul is already here, then you don't need to go through that tribulation. But when you're going from the astral realm and then, you know, back to Earth, then there is that effect. And you can just basically cancel out the entire idea of remembering anything if you die in this body, not having cultivated your soul, and then have like those portions of your soul be recycled and given to some other life form that gets born after you. Yes, what I'm trying to say is your soul can dissipate and fall into like smaller pieces to become used in the alchemy of new souls. if you have not cultivated yourself to have enough weight to maintain its own structure. So in a sense, you can level up your soul. Okay. Damn, I'm really pressed for time. I'll probably be able to carry this for like maybe another 10-20 minutes. Finish the video now when you say, okay, I already read that. The irony in speaking for a nervous system is keeping you a slave is how else do you more regularly access astral projection? Well, astral projection only requires your soul. So you're still going to be able to astral project. It's just it won't be a projection anymore. You'll just be in the astral realm. You won't need dreams. You won't need the body for dreams. Because what a dream is, not a dream realm per se, but what a dream is, or at least the isolated dream, is when you're going inside of your own soul structure and you're basically traveling through that spider web of memory that your soul has accumulated, or that astral web that you are made of, which is still going to be able to produce a whole lot of interesting scenarios, right? Which makes dreaming so fun, but it's not going to have as much variability as being able to go into, you know, the multiplayer game mode that is astral projection, or just like astral travel in general. I call lucid dreaming exploring your inner realm, whereas the astral realm would be like your outer realm travel. So dreaming is just dreaming into yourself. It doesn't really require a body to do that, but it does utilize the brain. It definitely does, because you can see what happens to people, to people's brains, or the brain waves that they produce during different phases of sleep. You need a strong mind, a strong body, or I'd say a strong body is a strong mind. Yes, there is definitely a correlation. I've had an experience where I crossed off every sensory my body had and I could think of, and I immediately for a moment popped out of this reality, but I also think, wow, what just happened? Where is that comment? Oh, okay. While being in this reality, it should be about fun and having a good time in GTFO when you're done. And to do that, I need to be able to reach deeper meditations and have more control over my body and of my mind. Yeah, now he's getting closer to the realizations that I started having a couple years ago. That the most important thing in my meantime of, you know, doing my time here on Earth is my cultivation. Okay, stopped at 6:57. I think tracking things comes from remnants, as there's people who have memories from past lives and were able to prove it. Okay, so past life memory, one of the things that I should have probably made a remake of this video for is that in this I talked about how past lives don't make any sense, or karma through past lives don't make any sense, because a new energy signature would come from, you know, that change in your soul as you're going into that new body. So if everything's, you know, if your karma is being tracked through like your energy signature, that would make the most sense. Otherwise, karma is chaotic and it doesn't matter what you did in your past lives, which would make karma evil. What I was missing in this is the theory of the Hun and the Po, the 3 Hun and the 7 Po in Taoism, which is what makes up the human soul. The 3 Hun are what can travel the realms once your body, goes back to the earth. The 7 Po stay with the earth, and they are grounded in your organs, or the 7 organs. Or at least they have 7 organs, which each have their own corresponding element. In the 5 elements or the 5 phases. So your 3 Hun and your 7 Po, they all help to make up your soul. It doesn't have to necessarily be 10 pieces of your soul. All you need to know is that the soul is not just one singular entity. It's multiple entities that are all bound by this really, really solid chemistry to make you who you are. Despite all your contradictions, it still helps to make you who you are. Even though your mind is not necessarily 100% unified yet. So harnessing or cultivating that Adamic soul is all about uniting all those different pieces, uniting all your archetypes, all your aspects. To go on, people inherit their Po from their environment. It gathers during the first cell, the creation of that first cell in those organs. I think that's what the Chinese believe is when the first Po is created in the body, because these souls need to have something like a physical organ to bind itself to. And then over the course of birth, you get all the rest of your Po, and then you become a full human soul. I want to know what a Taoist, according to that logic, I want to know what a Taoist view on abortion is. Because they probably would say like before the womb, or like, after the womb, that's considered to be a human, but before the child, okay, let me get off this subject. There's people who have memories from past lives, able to prove it. True, with solid graphs and detail. So if a perfect memory wipe was 100%, let's see some memory wipes are only 97 and 3%. Yeah, let's just say that we inherit the memories that we do have from our quote-unquote past lives. It's more like what our Hun and our Po remember. Because again, our Hun and our Po are being recycled and used in order to create the alchemy of a full human soul. We're getting it from multiple places. And like I said, the soul is of the construct. It's not something that we own. Or well, we can claim ownership of it. But, there's some Eastern mythologies about people who have transmuted their body with their soul and then left the realm. It's like, as far as claiming ownership, I believe you can claim ownership to some extent, but I ultimately believe that when you're cultivating, you're stealing energy from the construct, or you're stealing materials from the construct, and that construct is going to want those materials back. When your lifespan is up and it's time for that body to rejoin the earth, it's going to try to get all its material back. Because, like I said earlier, this realm, or these tower realms with all its floors, it still operates off of law of conservation. I don't know if they're ever going to see this comment. It's been 2 years ago. Whoa. 2 years. You can gain huge... What I thought of is you can gain huge power through popularity. If people are thinking about you, their beliefs can affect how easy or how hard it is to achieve XYZ. Yes. I've stated some principles that would allow this theory to basically work. It's like energy stock market. Yes. Yes. So if the 1,000 people generally regularly believe XYZ person is strong and unfailing and have a strong regular belief on that, but that definition, wouldn't that increase likelihood for that person being strong and unfailing? Yes. But there would be the other side. If 1,000 people thought you were weak and failing, how would you go about ignoring those karmic ties? Rather, don't let them apply to you. I'm going to use something out of Jason of the Archaics channel's vocabulary. He has this term that he uses called pattern break. If you have a pattern of being weak per se, like, you know, just for example, like 1,000 people think you're weak and you have this pattern of being weak, do things that go against that rule of you being weak. So like working out, saying what's on your mind, being courageous, doubling down, going out of your comfort zone. That's a break of pattern. That pattern break is just enough energy to propel you into a new karmic, not karmic tie, but like a karmic, it's like a karmic momentum. You're creating a new egregore about yourself. Like there's no solution to be put forward. How we can achieve liberation from repeated cycle of birth and death. Oh wait, I already answered this with another channel. Oof. Thank you very much. Okay, as for that, I'm curious what the held comments look like. Oh, I don't have any. I guess people have behaved. Whatever. All right. That's my checking in for 2025. I don't really have much else to say. Anything that I feel like I glossed over, I'm sure somebody would probably find a question for that. But yeah. Continue practicing on cultivating your consciousness. I've left behind Kundalini, and instead I practiced the microcosmic orbit. I probably brought this up in the past. Microcosmic orbit, if you're wondering what that is, I'm going to go to my channel. This is probably the most important video on my channel here, like this one. Never mind the philosophy. People who are into Kundalini should really consider the microcosmic orbit instead. I should probably pin this. Should be pinning this. I probably have some things that I learned since talking about this video. But I think that I'll just let the questions come. Yeah, I was talking about Beyond the Veil earlier. Alright, with that said, I think I've run out of things that I wanted to say. Keep cultivating. Don't get caught up in all the current events and news and stuff. I mean, I still keep up on like whatever's going on in the world, but I don't really take it seriously. Like, you know, if there's like a TR attack, like the ones that have been happening, I'm not trying to say the word, that's why I said it like that. Like January 1st, first day of the year, we've got headlines about attacks in different places in the US. And you know, I see it. I just don't really think of anything about it. Like, I just don't vibrate on that level. If something bad happens to me, it's not really anything bad happening to me. It's more like something bad happening in my environment, and maybe I might be like the main character of that directed energy for like a moment, but it's not like it actually matters in the grand scheme, you know? Like, I feel like a lot of energies just like bounce off of me, and I've never really had bad things happen to me. You know, like I've never broken bones. I've definitely fractured some parts of my bones, but for the most part, like I'm pretty, you know, pretty healthy. I stay out of the way of things. Oh yeah, I should probably say one thing that has changed since I've started following Taoism, as far as like the different breathing exercises and meditation techniques. When I started with the Kan and Li, fast forward 6 months, I'm eating 1 meal a day. That's all I want to eat. That's all I need to eat. Anything more than a meal a day actually makes my stomach expand because I'm not digesting the food from before. My body thinks that 1 meal a day is okay. If I eat a snack, I have to work off those calories even harder. And do mad sit-ups just to get rid of that, you know, that bulge. Or like fast, you know, like instead of eating 1 meal, I'll eat like 1 meal every 2 days in order to like try to like get my stomach back to being flat. And this is all because of the Kan and Li circulation techniques that I read in a Mantak Chia book. And if I can find that book, you know, if somebody asks for it, I guess I'll look for it and like post a link for the PDF. Any links to anything, you guys might as well just ask, because, you know, eventually I'll update it. I'll let this guy know video soon. All right, there's literally nothing else to talk about. I'm gonna get out.